Brussels is Robin de Wouters, a spokesperson for the Democrats abroad. And from Taipei, we have Ross Feingold, the former Asia chairman of Republicans abroad. Now, let's start with you, Robin. Firstly, just your reaction to Trump's speech.
Yes, thank you for having me. Well, I mean, as it's been said, I think it's clear that Trump is looking for a win. He touted, for example, the win at the Olympics of the men's hockey team. He tries desperately to attach himself to any type of winning position. But what we see on the ground is that he is losing in the polls. He's losing his own base, and he is certainly losing in his agenda that he had promised in the 2024 election.
And Ross, any comments to add there? I mean, of course, this is an opportunity for the president to speak directly to Americans ahead of the midterms. Do you think he got cut through there?
We have to keep in mind the way the electoral map and the math works. I don't think Trump is losing the base in material numbers. Clearly, he's lost some support with independents, and polls show that. But I think Republicans, putting aside independents, but Republicans who voted for Trump in 2024 are probably pretty happy with his achievements over the past year plus since he took office. And Trump basically emphasized those achievements that he knows are important to the Republican voters. And he spoke at length about immigration. And to be fair to President Trump, he campaigned on bringing some order back to the southern border. And he has achieved that. He campaigned on raising tariffs. It's not a secret he would do that. We could debate the economic sense of that, but he said he would do it, and he actually did. And he's negotiated new trade deals with a number of countries. But ultimately, this is going to come down, or control of Congress is going to come down to a few swing seats in the House. Maybe a few Senate seats will be in play. But it's not about talking to 300 million plus Americans. It's really about those swing seats that are in play.
Just back to you, Robin, because, of course, as Ross is mentioning there, Trump was claiming that inflation's plummeted and that the economy, in Trump's words, is roaring. I mean, given that many American families are struggling with costs, what's your assessment of the reality on the ground?
Well, I mean, again, I think there's two factors to take into consideration. There's the economy. When Trump and Pam Bondi is displaying on full display, the 50,000 points that the Dow has reached for the first time in history, and so on and so on. And then there's what everyday Americans are experiencing on the ground. And he promised lower gas prices for gas. That hasn't happened. He went on a whole campaign on the price of eggs. That hasn't gone down. The cost of living for everyday Americans is still very above the pre-pandemic rates, and even higher now than during the Biden administration. So it's one thing to talk about the economy in terms of the Dow, the NASDAQ, and so on. It's a completely other to talk about what is actually going in the pockets or coming out of pockets of everyday Americans, and that's where it's going to hurt. Where I do agree with Ross is that it does come down for the midterms to state elections. We're going to vote on senators, House of Representatives, governors, lieutenant governors, and so on. So it does come down to this, and that's where I think the strategy of the Democrats is there's still time ahead of the 2028 presidential election. That here we're really seeing Democrats overperforming at state level. In Virginia last year with the new governor, but also even in Texas, or in Indiana, in states where Trump has won by double digits, we are seeing now a complete shift to Democrats winning these local elections.
Ross, just on Iran, I mean, Trump didn't really clarify his position there, obviously still talking about potential strikes, but also giving very brief mention of Iran, given that it's been such a feature of his agenda in recent days. Do you think that that is an acknowledgement that most Americans do not approve of a war in the Middle East?
I'm sure Trump is aware of that, but at the same time, it's not just a President Trump policy. It's been a consistent policy of Trump's predecessors, including President Obama, who entered into the agreement with Iran that Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. And I think we also know that President Trump is reluctant to put boots on the ground, as the saying goes, in any foreign military operation. So it does look likely, and I think we all need to be prepared for the possibility possibility that President Trump will order an airstrike against Iran, as he did last year. But he is giving Iran an opportunity to negotiate a settlement, and it's up to Iran on that issue. I do think the administration could do a better job of messaging this, but ultimately, if President Trump does think it's in the security interests of the United States, he will launch an attack regardless of what the polls say.
Robin, anything to add there? I mean, do you think that Iran is something that Americans want to be hearing about right now?
I think, again, it's Trump trying to deflect from what the priorities are for real life, for everyday Americans. Again, an hour and 48 minutes of State of the Union, not a mention of the Epstein files, which is a very big topic that, of course, he's trying to deflect every single turn. So, no, I mean, a year ago he said he completely obliterated the nuclear sites in Iran, and now he's talking about another preemptive attack. So it's all just working the words of trying to win to be a winner. But it really isn't the priority for everyday Americans, and Republicans are definitely going to pay this in the midterms and every election until then.
And Ross, I just want to pick up on that point that Robin mentioned there, which is that we didn't hear anything about the Epstein files from Donald Trump, perhaps not surprising, but also a few other notable issues that Americans are dealing with, like housing and healthcare, were also not mentioned. What do you make of that?
Well, he did talk about housing, and he mentioned his policy about banning large corporate investors from buying up individual homes, which has been a factor in rising home prices across the United States as institutional investors have accumulated large inventories of homes. And in fact, a lot of those investors, they are Trump supporters. So he did alienate some people who, frankly, donate a lot of money with that decision. So he didn't avoid that topic. On the Epstein files, he didn't talk about it. That probably disappointed some of even his own supporters. But his Justice Department has been trying to comply with the law. And it bears mentioning, the Democrats are not in a strong position on the Epstein files because they had 4 years to release the files under the Biden administration and didn't do it. And frankly, a lot of the people who are named in the Epstein files are Democrat personalities or Democrat donors. So it remains to be seen how the Democrats could successfully play that issue.
Just finally, for both of you, as we wrap up, I'd like to ask about whether you think that this speech tilted the dial and in what direction as we head towards the November midterms. Of course, Donald Trump is on the defensive on a few things right now, including the economy. But firstly, to you, Robin, do you think this speech shifted the dial in Trump's favour heading towards the midterms?
No, absolutely not. I think you coined the term when you said he entered on the defensive, and he really needed, not that I'm going to protect him, but he needed to be more on the offensive to actually sway people who were undecided or who had kind of gone sour on him. And he certainly didn't do that in his almost 2-hour speech. So I think he's worse off now than he was at the start. And we're going to see that very, very soon in the primaries and in the midterms.
Okay, well, I just want to quickly give Ross Feingold a chance to say your thoughts on that answer as well.
It's so far away still as 8 months until the election. Trump is somebody who speaks his mind to journalists nearly every day, as well as on Truth Social. So people, frankly, they're not really going to remember this speech. It's not going to be a factor in their voting decision. And they won't make their voting decision until after the summer anyway. So really the key period is September and October, and we're very far away from that.
All right, Robin de Wouters, spokesperson for Democrats Abroad, and Ross Feingold, the former Asia chairman for Republicans Abroad. Thank you so much for your time with us.